In this video, we're going to talk about composition of functions from a table. And if you remember, composition is when we have an input, an x value, that we first put into an innermost function. So if I'm talking about g of f of x down here, the innermost function is f of x, so the input goes into the innermost function first. We get an output, and then it goes into the outermost function before we get a final output. Just to review first function notation, if I have f of 3 down here, the 3 is in the place of the x. If I'm thinking about f of x in general, the 3 is in the place of the x, so that's an x value. If I want to use my table to evaluate, I'm going to use this table here because this is the one that has f of x in it, and I've got f in my function notation. I'm going to find where x is 3, which happens right here. I'm going to look at the y value is 1, so f of 3 equals 1. Similarly, when I look at the g of x function, if I'm trying to find g of 3, I find where x is 3 in the table, I look at the y, here the y is 2, so g of 3 equals 2. Now, using my function machines and composition, when I look at composition g of f of 3 down here, what that tells me is first evaluate f of 3. So we already did that in the previous part. I looked at where x was 3 and I looked at the y value. The y is 1. So if f of 3 is 1, g of f of 3 has to be the same thing as g of 1. If you notice, I'm just taking what f of 3 equals and substituting it in for f of 3. G of 1, I'm going to go back over to my table with my g of x function now, and I'm going to look where x is 1, and I'm going to find the y value. The y value is 4. So even though this is really complicated, it's just a simple process of using both parts to find a final answer. If I look at part D, g of 3, we found out in this previous problem was 2. Let me change colors real quick, was 2. If g of 3 is 2, that's the innermost evaluating of the function, then I need to have 2 be my input into the f of x function, because f of x is the outer one. I'm going to come over here to the f of x table. I'm going to find where x is 2, and I'm going to look at the y value. The y value happens to be 2. And that's composition from a table. So again, a first step, you take the input and you find an output from whatever the innermost function is. Once you have that output, you put that into your second function and find an output for that.